Welcome back, everybody. This week we get weird in Auckland, and I spend way too much time on complicated graphics to explain simple things. So make sure you subscribe and smash that like button!
Make me some mad boys to decorate my tomb as it starts through the tunnel screaming, I was hell-bent for you.
This morning we went and did a helicopter tour, and that was so awesome.
I have no words. That's how cool it was.
Yeah, I've never been in a little helicopter like that. I've never been in any helicopter before.
Last minute decision.
Glad we got to go. Now we're on our way to Auckland, New Zealand.
This place was incredible.
This was so much fun, I don't want to leave. Vacation is over. Traveling starts now.
We were really sad to leave Fiji as it was such a great spot to have our honeymoon with the helicopter rides, lying on the beach, and just exploring the island. But we are really excited to start our journey across the world, starting in Auckland, New Zealand.
That's up for scale. Welcome to the middle seat. Since you're stuck here on this airplane with us, I figured it's a perfect time for me to tell you a little bit about where we're headed. It is said in the legends of old that the god Maui, a stowaway on the fishing canoe of his brothers, baited his hook with his own blood and caught a mighty fish from the depths of the sea. This fish was the North Island of the land that would become known to the Maori people as Etaroa. Etaroa roughly translates to the land of the long white cloud, and was the name given to the North Island when the Maori navigators first set sights on it hundreds of years ago. Now I know what you're thinking.
Why is he still talking about this?
No, you're thinking, Etaroa, I've never heard of that. I've always called this place Middle Earth, and sometimes New Zealand. The name New Zealand can trace its roots back to 1642 when Abel Tasman sailed into the southern Pacific Ocean. I can see him now, Abel Tasman, standing on the prow of his ship, staring across the wilds of a new land so very far from home. And as the wind blew about him, the salt spray licked his face and the seagulls squawked their lonesome howl, Tasman knew that forevermore this land would be known as Staatenland. Oh right, there's more. Well, Tasman at the time thought that this land he had discovered was a part of this other Dutch colony called Staatenland near Cape Horn at the southern tip of Argentina. And I mean, if you really squint, I guess you could see why he thought that. They both have these really intricate fjord lands and kind of rocky coasts, and I guess we could just kind of cut him about 5,000 miles of slack if we wanted to. Anyway, years later, the Dutch realized this place isn't actually part of Argentina, guys. The official cartographer of the Dutch East India Company named Johan Blau found himself in a bit of a pickle. He needed to name this new place something, and he couldn't just name it Staatenland. They had used that like 5 other times. So I kind of like to imagine that he just like went out into his backyard and was just sort of twiddling his fingers and thinking like, you know, there kind of sounds like this one place in the Netherlands known as Zealand. so what if we just name it Nova Zealandia? Like, why not? I have no idea what the Dutch sound like. Smash cut to 127 years later, when an English explorer by the name of Captain James Cook arrived on the scene with one of these Dutch maps. And he was like, Nova Zealandia sounds a little bit too Dutch, if you ask me. It's actually Latin. Yes. Definitely too Dutch.
There are only 2 things I can't stand in this world. People who are intolerant of other people's cultures, and the Dutch.
And so from there, the English anglicized.
We made it even more British!
Ta-da! We have New Zealand. So now that you know the history of how New Zealand got its name, let's talk about the history of this amazing place and the flight's over. We're so tan.
Are we?
They just stick out. So we braved the rain with all of our bags, found our rental car, and headed off to our first Airbnb in Auckland.
We're on our way to Nikki's house.
Yeah.
Taylor driving on the left side of the road.
Really not all that different from driving on the right side. What's insane is that you got to use your hands for the pedals and your teeth for the steering wheel, like a donkey. Oh, drifting. Really nice little bathroom down here with the towel warmer.
Dad, in case you're watching, you just texted me, "G'day, mate."
G'day, mate.
On our first day in New Zealand, we took the Auckland Free Walking Tour, which also happened to be the Auckland Free Drumline concert, apparently. We met our guide Darcy, who was awesome and hilarious and way too confident that the drum concert was going to be over by the time the tour started. It wasn't. Darcy took us around the main CBD of Auckland and showed us all of his favorite local eateries, historical landmarks, including the suffrage mural and staircase, which was dedicated to celebrate the fact that New Zealand was actually the first country in the world to grant women the right to vote.
So, here we go.
Now, Auckland City, we like to think of ourselves as people who like food and people who like art. We actually make the Auckland City Art Gallery free. It is free to enter. We're a Commonwealth country. We name everything Victoria. We name everything Albert. We name everything Edward. We'll be naming everything Charles in a second. You watch.
Yeah, he wasn't lying. One of my favorite stops on the tour was Albert Park, where you can see trees from all over the world which have been gifted by various heads of state to New Zealand. There was a California redwood, a couple of trees from Southeast Asia, and the mighty kauri tree, which is the second tallest tree in the world. From there, we went to Emily Place Reserve, which is full of these incredible pohutukawa trees, which are growing all over the pathway. Their roots are massive.
This forest is old. Very old.
You're gonna get a lot of those references for the whole time that we're in New Zealand, just a heads up. And as we wrapped up the tour, Darcy showed us a silver fern that he had found.
Kind of a lucky symbol, so I figured showing you one would be pretty cool. Pretty nice.
One thing that you're gonna see a lot if you travel to New Zealand is the silver fern. Although at first glance it seems like it might be better categorized as a green fern, if you flip it over, you'll find that the underside has a silver sheen, and that's where it gets its name. The silvery color is actually specially adapted to reflect moonlight, which is key, because it was originally used by the Maori to mark pathways at night. That's sort of the whole reason behind the silver fern being emblematic of New Zealand. It has to do with the idea of finding your way, showing you the path, making sure you're going in the right direction. And that's why it's on everything. It's on their rugby uniforms, it's on their airplanes, it's on their t-shirts, it's on their hats, it's on their magnets, it's on everything.
And that's a silver fern. Isn't that cool?
So after wrapping up the Auckland Free Walking Tour, Alyssa and I made our way to Weta Workshop Unleashed. Weta Workshop is well known in the film industry for their incredibly imaginative prop and creature special effects. Founded in 1987 by Richard Taylor and Tanya Roger as RT Effects, Weta Workshop was behind many of the stunning special effects for movies like Hellboy, Van Helsing, King Kong, District 9, and that's pretty much it.
Keep your forked tongue behind your teeth.
And the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit trilogies, which I love so much. They're basically synonymous now with New Zealand. They even have Middle Earth and other Tolkien-esque kind of references on the Air New Zealand safety video.
If there's a mishap during takeoff or landing, brace yourself on the seat in front of you.
It's ubiquitous. You thought the silver fern was a big deal? No. Lord of the Rings is a big deal in New Zealand. Weta Workshop Unleashed, it's not actually the movie effects house that makes the props and the monster prosthetics and the miniatures. It's actually more of a themed film school experience that guides you through the process of creating these elements. The workshop walked us through how to storyboard action sequences, how to design mythical characters, how to sculpt miniatures of monsters and magical cities, and how makeup artists and other creature actors work together to bring the bizarre and surreal world of movies to life. We also got got to see this weird prosthetic bust of Adam Savage. I've actually met Adam Savage back on the set of At Midnight all those years ago. It was so realistic, you kind of felt like his head was on a stick. It's pretty creepy, but I loved it. We actually also got to see a little glimpse of an exhibit that they had worked on for Te Papa, the National Museum of New Zealand down in Wellington, called Gallipoli, The Scale of Our War, where they took actual stories of soldiers who had fought in the Battle of Gallipoli in World War I and had scaled them up 3 times. I'm not really a big theme park guy, so I really wasn't sure if I was gonna like this once I discovered that it wasn't a secondary special effects house where they were actually building props and working on movies. But I actually really loved it because it wasn't just sort of like a facsimile of the thing I really wanted to see in Wellington. It was all about how to unleash your creativity and how easy it can be for anybody to be a part of the making of movies. So I really liked it in that regard.
I am Aragorn, son of Arathorn. This is Gimli, son of Gloin, and
Lillian the Sicilian.
It has been 1 long week since we struck out from Las Vegas and left our cat Lillian with our friends Maya and Jero. And I'm happy to report that she is fitting in quite well.
Alyssa,
Can I dig in?
yeah. Believe it or not, we were actually only in Auckland for 2 nights, 1 day, and so the day after we did the walking tour, we left. We went and got some coffees at a local coffee shop. We walked around the CBD one last time. I actually got a haircut, just the sides, something I could use right now, to be honest with you. And then we struck out on the road for our next destination.
Fresh trim,
Look at that haircut.
full tank of petrol.
And that's where I'm gonna have to leave you. I know I promised you a few things like zorbing and mud baths and stuff, but you're just gonna have to wait for the next one. I just didn't have enough time to edit another long video. All right, that's it from me. Roll the bumper! Next time on Alyssa Films Taylor from the passenger seat.
What a day in Rotorua, the fart capital of the world.
We enjoy the soothing and smelly sulfur pool at the Polynesian Spa, deliver on our wedding vows by walking through the gates of hell together, and are overall just one big hot mess at every turn.
Boy,
Oh, no, I don't. Today's a great day to go jump off a bridge.
Yeah, we need the monitors. Feel like you're gonna pass it? That's okay.
Thanks again for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you'd like to support this crazy adventure that Alyssa and I are on, you can go to our Patreon page via the link in the description below. When I get free time, I have to decide whether to work for my job or work on these videos, so your support makes that decision that much easier, and I really appreciate it. And in return for a few bucks, you get some cool perks. I'll see you next time on the Global Glen Hills.